So in example 2, we wanted to figure out the number of snow days that you get each month. Okay, and so here we have a vertical bar chart. Okay, and again, vertical bar charts are really good for showing categorical data. Okay, so categorical data, which is represented on the horizontal axis, as well as discrete data. Okay, and so the discrete data is represented by the vertical axis. So in this case, we want to figure out, well, how many days did it snow? Okay, so part A says how many days did it snow. So our categories are the months of December, January, February, and March, and our discrete data is the number of days of snow on the vertical column. And so in December, it snowed 2 days. In January, it snowed 6 days. In February, it snowed 14 days. And in March, it snowed 3 days. Okay, so 2 plus 6 is 8, plus 14 is 22, plus 3 is 25. So in total, it snowed 25 days in that particular winter. So based on the data, in what month would you expect the most snow days, or the most days of snow to occur in? Well, if we just look at this bar graph, we notice that the February bar is significantly higher than it is for December, January, or March. So I would say February is the day that it's going to, or is the month in which I would expect most snow to fall. Okay, so in February. C here, explain why a bar graph was used to display this data. Well, there's probably a number of reasons why we would want to use a bar graph in this particular situation. You could do a pie chart for this as well. But the nice thing about a bar graph is that it's actually happening in chronological order. Okay, so in the calendar for winter, you first start off with December, then January, then February, then March. So I would argue that this is probably used because it follows the timeline of winter. Okay, so I'll just say follows the winter timeline. Okay. Again, you could do this as a pie graph. You could mix the you could mix up the categories and put like February at the beginning, and then December, and then March, and then January. But that would just be more confusing to people. It just makes sense that it follows the winter timeline of December, January, February, March. Okay. So the next question here says, for part D here, says what percentage of snowy days fall in the month of December? Okay, well, we know that in total there are 25 days of snow. Okay, that's the total number. Okay, in December there's only 2 days of snow. That's the 2 on the top. Okay, and so 2 out of the 25 days of winter happen to be in December. So now what we need to do is actually figure out what is 2 over 25 as a percentage. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 divided by 25. That gives me 0.08. So that's the decimal. And now I need to convert 0.08 into a percentage by multiplying it by 100. Okay, so 8% is going to be the percentage of snowy days that happen in December. Okay, and so if you want to continue on, okay, you would be able to actually create a pie graph from this if you were asked to. So for example, what's important to know is that we know that there's 8%. So imagine if you're asked to create a pie chart based on the information in the bar graph. Okay, so calculate the size in degrees of the section that would represent the number of snowy days in December. Okay, so we know that 25 days represents 100% of the days of snow. Okay, and we know that a pie chart is a circle. Okay, and so a circle has a total of 360 degrees inside of it. Okay, so if I want to figure out the percentage, the number of degrees represented by each percent, I know that there's 360 degrees divided by 100%. That means that each individual percent is represented by 3.6 degrees. Okay, and so since I know it says calculate the size in degrees of the section that would represent the number of snowy days in December, I know that 8% of the winter happens in December. So what I would do is I would take the 8% from the December snowfall, and I would multiply that by 3.6. So each degree is represented by each percentage is represented by 3.6 degrees. So 8 times 3.6 is going to give me 28.8 degrees. Okay, so if I was to actually graph this as a pie chart, the 8 degrees of snow that happens, or the 8% of snow that happens in December would be represented by 28.8 degrees on a pie chart.